Hi, folks. This is Dr. Kat Schreier, your host for The Water Show, here brought to you by the Water Citizen Media Foundation. And this week, we are covering the Water Summit in Milwaukee, one of my favorite conferences, brought to you by the Water Council. And one of our sponsors for coverage this week is Neptune Diagnostics, and our founder, Joseph Nadolski is here. He actually took the stage yesterday. They had a little innovation H2O innovation pavilion, and they had 3 of the companies able to get up and give their pitches and talk about their, and answer some questions from the audience. So it was really a cool opportunity. We'll have more of that today. So when you go to thewatershow.org and the coverage for this event, you'll not only get to see this interview with Joseph, but also get to see all of our coverage from this week. And we've just been chatting and getting to know each other. Like myself, comes from good Polish stock. Joseph, you were in the Army, is that?
Yes.
Okay. So, but you had some entrepreneurial experience as a kid too, right?
Right. I started off a typical kid with your paper route, and I guess I even did some acquisitions, and I acquired other routes.
Oh, there you go.
Built a small empire.
Nice.
But didn't know it at the time.
And then some landscaping.
And just general landscape. Yeah, mowing lawns and general landscaping.
When kids have to do that to make some money, or even, in my case with the lemonade stand, my parents threw in the lemonade mix and everything, but I was out there every day. You could hear me from blocks.
It's actually pretty interesting because now as we talk, I'm thinking about now my MBA, and I'm like, wait a minute, I had to do pricing decisions as a 16-year-old.
Absolutely.
And you go negotiate and what's the marginal
cost? I'll give
cost?
you 2 for I'll throw in a second one if you buy a cookie.
Right. Or if I can do scale a neighborhood and have like 8 lawns in one neighborhood, I could
in things like how to communicate with customers. We actually talked about that yesterday. How do you communicate with specific targets, with your investors, with your customers, with end users who may have questions about your systems. All of that's important. And, these are the kinds of things that you learn in just doing basic sales when you're talking to people over and over and over again. You get to read people.
You make mistakes and you kind of learn.
And you keep doing it over and over again. I don't agree that it's purely a numbers game, that if you just, pick up phone and call someone over and over again, I made my, 50 calls today, I'm good. It's like, no, you actually have to try to make a sale or try to connect with someone on each call and then figure out, just automatically do that feedback. It's like, hey, that worked. That didn't work so well, but yeah. So you had a chance to communicate yesterday.
I did.
Yes. So how did you end up on the stage yesterday?
We our company started probably about 2 years ago.
Okay.
Really formally a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
But 2 years ago, we started doing our research of what other companies were operating our field. We're a new emerging field using genomics in water or in the environment.
Yeah.
And we found that the brew here had sponsored. Actually, we found the company first. We found this one of our potential either customers or collaborators is a company called Micro Detectives, and they were in brew class 1, I believe.
And they're on their 3rd now. So we actually have 2 other brew companies.
So that's how I found out the Water Council, and that was like a week or 2 before the summit 2 years ago. So one of my folks that was helping me out at the time, we came here to see what was going on in Milwaukee.
Nice. Yeah, it was a great space for entrepreneurs. Right. So you actually applied.
So I applied last year. We didn't get selected. We're a little bit early in the science, and we're not ready to really go. We're taking on customers, but we're not ready to scale yet.
Right.
And so probably not. We weren't the best selection to be selected. So
and
then,
it's a pretty high end. I mean, it's a full year of basically business training for entrepreneurs in the water space with whitewater. Plus, you get a $50,000 cash, or is that actually going towards the tuition? Or we have some pictures of some of the big checks.
Yeah, I think you
get office space.
Yeah, you get the 50,000, but some of it probably
goes towards the tuition. Yeah. But it's a lot of training. It's a lot of support. It's a lot of public relations support. We were talking about it yesterday. Whether the groups really understand the value of the level of promotion that they would otherwise have to pay for.
Right. Well, I mean, the thing is, we're a California-based company, and we can get the same incubator. I mean, in some ways now, we didn't apply for this year because the question is, what would I get? Do I already know enough business?
Right.
But the thing is, here you do have the connections. The network, the connection is the value.
Right. You're in a building with the lab, with big companies, with the universities, all that support.
Yeah.
And just being in that environment where you're surrounded by other water entrepreneurs and bounce ideas off of them. So you talked to another company, and that's where you found out about this.
Right.
And you applied. But you didn't get selected, but you were able to get up on the stage.
Well, didn't get selected last year.
Yeah.
And then this year, we didn't apply.
Yeah.
But for this innovation showcase, that you didn't have to be a brew member, any company. So I got an email from the water, because I'm on the Water Council's email list.
Yeah.
And they just sent out, they said, hey, we're doing a new thing this year.
Yeah.
And of course, what it was about the exposure. I probably wouldn't have come actually if I didn't get that chance.
Right.
Because you have to balance what
And even when it's free exposure, you paid for the plane ticket,
paid for the plane ticket, paid for the hotel room, paid for the the conference fee, and but we also I piggybacked the trip on visiting a potential customer in Chicago.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
very cool.
And then we're we're really focused of trying to get for our demonstration customers, and where else you got a room of 200 people, you have some utility managers here and everything, and and I mean, this was the perfect opportunity.
Absolutely.
Plus,
absolutely
improve my I need to always improve my communication skills.
Right. Yeah, we do have a video of your pitch, and I mean, those are tough. Trying to boil down what you do, and we'll actually now talk about your company, but what you do in 90 seconds,
right?
For a pitch fest, and you're trying to tap into what the investors want to hear, and sort of the big picture idea, but also the actual what it is that you do. It can be really challenging for water. It's the technical aspects of what it does and how it's different from others. The contextual aspect of where it fits within a water system, and then the greater contextual aspects of how that fits in with society and why it's important. So we tried to do a little longer interview, as you can see. So let's go ahead and talk about that. Tell us about Neptune, how it got started. What is what is it that it does? What are the benefits?
Well, Neptune started as a means to commercialize some academic research that came out of UC Irvine, University of California, Irvine.
Right.
And right now, most of us on the team are associated somehow there.
Right.
So basically,
so what does it do?
What does it do?
Yeah.
So we're developing genetic tests, DNA tests.
Okay.
That will target specific bacteria in wastewater treatment, and that we provide real-time information to plant operators that they don't have already.
So how does it work? Is it a gadget you drop in the water, or is it a sensor that's on the side?
Yeah, what you do is you take a sample of water,
and
you extract the DNA, and you.
How do you extract DNA from water?
There's to get really technical, but I mean, there's a kit.
Basically, so they've got a little kit.
Yeah, you put it all on
site.
You put it in the center. Well, our idea eventually is to develop a platform that can be done on site.
Right.
Like right now, really everything is done in a lab.
Yeah.
So today, right now, because our innovation is not 100% there.
Right.
Our customers send the samples to us, and we do the work.
So you do, And I mean, generally speaking, one of the things that we hear over and over again from big companies and the entrepreneurs and the utilities is that the testing side of what they do for water and wastewater treatment is that's a huge part of the cost, both in terms of the chemicals and equipment and things like that itself, and just the time delay of how long it takes to test, wait for something to happen to determine what's in there.
So our intention is really to develop, a test. I mean, predictive analysis, not right now, most of it is lagging, or like for example, we're looking at developing a test, nitrification or denitrification. Removing nitrogen is a biological process, and there's organisms that do that work, and there's organisms that hinder that work.
So that's one of the cool things about what you guys are doing is detecting bacteria, both the bad bacteria that we're trying to get at. Give me an example of give the water citizens, give us an example of what kind of bad bacteria do we look for?
Well, you have a class, I believe. So like for say phosphorus removal. To remove phosphorus, you have these phosphorus accumulating organisms. And there's a number of
so these are the bacteria. But these are the bacteria that are going to create these big balloons, right?
What it does is eventually phosphorus creates the blooms. But to remove it, we're at the molecule level. Molecules attached to a different chemical, to a different organism and get removed. So without getting really too technical. But the other thing is that there's a class called PAOs, or phosphorus accumulating organisms. Well, competing against this is another class of chemical of organisms called GAO. And I can't tell you what G actually stands for. It's a big scientific name.
Government accounting organization. No.
Right.
Wrong GAO. But
the thing is that if you're operating this plant, you want to encourage the growth of PAOs.
Right.
So you want to discourage
the good bacteria that do part of what happens within a water and wastewater treatment system. And I think at some point we'll put a tour up on the watershed site to really show water citizens how that works. Is it part of it is biological, that you'll have systems that treat the water through the use of these bacteria who aren't in the unions and that don't have minimum wage, so they work, and if you feed them really well, they work really hard.
So for example, what we have right now is like nitrogen removal. So nitrogen takes oxygen, so you want to try to remove the nitrogen, especially if it's going back into a river, because if you put too much in, it kills fish and that
would be bad.
So, but right now, you only, a plant operator only knows if he fails. They measure the effluent going out. And so what we're trying to do is give him a predictive tool of, if you understand the health and quantity of your workers. Your bacteria workers. Your bacteria workers.
Absolutely.
Because those bacteria workers can die for different reasons.
Absolutely.
And if they die and you only find out when at the final exam and you failed.
Right.
So we're trying to
kill all your workers. The operation was a success, but the patient died.
Well, actually,
something like that.
Yeah, something.
But so it's really important to have that understanding of all the pieces in these systems and where these different treatment processes that are developed through and other incubator programs and innovation coming out of waterpreneur ventures.
Right.
So well, this is great. It's because I think our other sponsors have been focused more on the metals side, which is also very important. How do we deal with metals in our water and things like lead? So people are aware of that from Flint. But there's also the natural environment and nitrogen and phosphorus. It's not just stuff that farmers are putting down or people are putting on their lawns. That's in nature. That we have plants and plants.
So we're. As compared to the other companies in the showcase, we're I guess you could say a measurement and testing. We measure and provide information that allows their technology. They can improve their technologies.
So it's good to have this mix of resources available for a utility, water and wastewater utility, or an corporation, industrial facility, to be able to have these different tools of which are the ones that show you what else you need to do, so you can make those decisions and spend your money and your time and your efforts wisely in terms of how you're doing water and wastewater treatment. So excellent. So now, getting back to you said you were in the career Army for many years.
22 years.
22 years. So what did you do in the Army?
I
was it all related? It wasn't.
No,
completely different.
Totally not related to water at all.
Okay.
I started off. I spent about 5 years as an infantry officer in the airborne. But I did learn the value of water. I was. We were one of the first units to deploy to Desert Shield, and we were, the pointy end of the spear or whatever, or the speed bump or whatever. But literally, I was a logistics officer. I was an infantry officer, but I was in charge of logistics for an infantry battalion.
Yeah.
And literally, I was in charge of, we had 700 soldiers that, if we didn't get water shipped to us, we would die. Literally, if the truck didn't show up.
And not only that, we covered a lot on the Army Water Blueprint and things like the casualties associated with water and energy convoys. That was our biggest source of casualties. Was trying to get
water and fuel.
Exactly. To including fuel to run the generators.
Fuel to run the generator. Exactly.
So it was that was a big part of it. And then who's harder to manage, the soldiers or
scientists?
The scientists.
They have different challenges.
I guess so.
Or different motivations.
Yes. Well, and there is a lot of innovation that comes out of the military. We've done a special every year on Veterans Day. We also had something on Memorial Day with Darius Sinise's program on Capitol Hill.
Go ahead.
No,
I said actually one of the other biologists that are helping me, she was a Army veteran too.
Yeah.
She's kind of on our bench.
Nice.
She's working at another job, but she's back and forth with us. But as a startup, we can't.
Well, and we see that a lot in who is going into those jobs in the military, in water, who's becoming board members, who's becoming waterpreneurs. We do see a lot of folks coming out of military service and seeing water as a way of protecting us on the home front and as another form of service.
And so my second thing I did was I was sort of in strategy and intelligence.
Yeah.
And so actually in the 90s,
we don't have any of that in water. No strategy, no intelligence. Yeah.
But in reality, in the late 90s, we were looking at water as a strategic resource, that water would be possibly a source of conflict between nations.
Absolutely.
And more so than oil.
Yeah.
And that was not even on anybody's radar screen back in the 90s.
There is, I'm trying to think if we actually posted it with one of our stories found about this through the Citizen Climate Alliance or Citizen Climate Lobby group. What's the name of the guy? There was a famous white paper that was written about the Red Scare, back in the 50s.
Yeah.
Right? And the threat of communism. And then there was another paper very similar about the threat of climate change and how climate change could be as much of a security threat as communism had been, decades earlier.
Right.
And so that, I think, really, I'm trying to remember, I'm trying to remember the name of the guy who wrote that. We'll find it and we'll get it out there for you guys. For those of you who are interested in the history of some of this stuff. But absolutely, there has been a lot going on with Department of Energy, which is, their primary purpose actually, looking at energy required for security purposes, and as well as through the armed forces to look at climate change as a security issue, and water is certainly as a huge part of it.
And we actually have, the Navy's been doing desalination on their ships for years.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of skill. Actually, the military. I didn't think of this earlier.
Right.
Or but there's a lot of knowledge of health and water and coming out of veterans that have served a little bit.
And we did a special on Veterans Day a couple of years ago. If you look up on YouTube, we'll also post this on the Water Show, the Water Veterans Special, where we had vets from various areas of service, going back from the medical corps and the Army, that led to the development of a company that does Legionnaire's disease in hospitals. There's a civil engineer, Sean Osborne, who's part of our advisory council, who does disaster preparedness. We've been talking about resilience and how much the military has really been a leading force in understanding how to deal with natural disasters and conflicts with nature. But yeah, so there's a lot of exciting stuff. One of the things we've been hoping to do as we develop the Water Citizen Media Foundation is to do a reality show, kind of based on The Apprentice or Master Chef or with teams. To show veterans competing for positions in the water industry with water utility leaders coming up with challenges each week and being able to show what they can do in terms of maybe not having the strict the typical resume of the operator's licenses or the engineering experience and everything, but having logistical background, having strategic intelligence background. How valuable is that?
Well, that, or like if I'm hiring someone, I mean, it really, it's attitude. I mean, everything's trainable. I mean, you can't train, values. You can't train motivation. You can't train work ethic. I mean, you can train someone to understand, the technical parts of treatment, or I mean, that's just my belief. I mean, but of course, that's an investment. You're going to have to invest time to do that. But,
well, and especially with a startup. I mean, that's one of the biggest challenges is when you start to grow, you need to bring on teams. And as a big corporation, you might be able to have a slacker here and there. But as a small
was one of my lessons, actually. I said that was actually one of my lessons. We've had a few mistakes in the last year.
One of the biggest challenges we see with startups is, what do you do when you grow? How do you find that the people who want to work for a waterpreneur, the people who are willing to put in the hours, the people who are willing to wear multiple hats? I mean, hell, if anyone wants to come work with Water Citizen Media Foundation or volunteer this summer, we got to get this video up online. We got to write the little descriptions. We got to get it to social media. There's all these little things that, like you said, it takes some time. You want to invest that time into someone who is going to stick around and who's going to have a good attitude, is going to do what they say they're going to do.
Well, as you said, if you're a startup, you have limited funds. You can't, and so you have to find people that align, the interests align. And so we had I mean, I made a mistake of, just by hiring who was available, or we needed someone, and they're interested really. I mean,
I love what you're doing. I'm so passionate about it. I want to volunteer for you. And it's like, okay, do this, this, and this, and it doesn't get done, and then you have to do it anyway.
Or they're like, well, I just wanted a paycheck. I'm not really,
But wait, you got to pay me at least $5,000 a month because I got to pay a mortgage. It's like, you came to me,
So we actually now have a CTO.
Yes.
He's probably going to become a co-founder.
Nice.
And he's has a PhD in environmental engineering, and you got a lot of researchers that want to just stay in academic. And you also want to you need to find someone who actually wants to, has an entrepreneurial,
live the entrepreneurial life.
Like well, I mean, so at Neptune, we're really, we're not trying to do research just to learn. We're actually trying to make plant managers' lives easier by giving them better tools. So the thing is, if our efforts of, I mean, we're still researching and prototyping, developing, but the end goal is not just to have knowledge, it's to actually produce something that's going to help someone out.
Excellent. Well, and that's ultimately, that's what these waterpreneurs are doing. They're making better lives for folks within the water industry. They are, it's really important work that the waterpreneurs are doing, and it as you can hear, it takes a lot to become a waterpreneur, to put yourselves out there, to find the right mix of people, ideas, technology, customers, really understand all this and put it all together. And really appreciate the work that you're doing on behalf of the water industry and your whole team. Okay. And we're delighted to have a chance to showcase some of these brave waterpreneurs in the brave new world of the contributions that they're making to the water industry. Really could not be innovative without the folks who are putting themselves out there, as you guys do every day on the front lines. And we're showcasing them here as our sponsors for the Water Summit in Milwaukee. And if you're watching this anywhere other than thewatershow.org, please do head on over there. That's where you see all of the other videos. You'll also be able to find, we'll put in the link for Neptune's own page where they'll be able to show any other videos that they have. Do you have other videos of your processes?
No, but we're getting ready to.
All right. As soon as you get those up there.
We're going to update our webpage. Our webpage is about a year old.
Yeah. It's tough. You got to add that other.
Well, we're actually in the phase that we probably need to.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you, when you get back, or if someone back in the office wants to just take a cell phone and just do a little video tour of how the processes work and everything, we'll put that on the page so that as you're hearing about it here, you can also take a look and see it firsthand on the video there. So, well, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate your being here, and thank you, Water Citizens, for joining us today. Join us over at thewatershow.org, watercitizen.com, and we will see you on The Water Show.